Hello. Okay, so I just felt this like surge of excitement, passion, like almost like when you're opening a champagne bottle, you know, for those of you who have ever done that or seen it be done. And like when the cork gets popped, it's like every time I know it's going to happen, but I still get a little bit like startled, like my body jumps. And then sometimes like you don't know if the champagne's going to like overflow. It's like that anticipation. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Okay. So, you may be seeing repeating nines. You may have felt like you just sort of wrapped up something, emotionally, energetically, physically, mentally. It is the 2nd of the month when I'm recording this. I just looked at the clock and it's 11:30. Yeah, and I've been noticing, I've been catching the clock at like on the dot. So like, let's say 12:00 or like 3:00 or like 7:00. Ooh, nice. Yeah, big release. So perhaps there's been or there's like this, if you want to call it an upgrade that has been taking place. You may actually, whenever you're finding this, it may feel like it really feels like the day you find this, you may be really feeling it like, whoa, like I feel something feels different. If you're into the idea of like quantum jumping or leaping, timeline shifting, etc., you may feel like I did it. There's something new that's happening. There's like a new trajectory that's being co-created is what it feels like. And yeah, I just want to say, like, I'm hearing like round of applause, congratulations. And there's been this like repeating theme of a next octave Kundalini rising that's also coming forth. So, whether it's your first conscious experience with this, your third or your fifth, or some other number, it does feel like there's some sort of collective rising, as well as with the earth, and its placement of the idea of a Kundalini energy, right? And it's said that Kundalini is essentially like sleeping DNA codes or DNA potential, and when it gets awakened, whether that's in your own vessel and or with the natural organic ascension of the land and the earth itself. Okay, so I actually recorded a video that has like not just a black screen. And I was talking about the archetype of the high priestess, and I just sort of opened up the channel for anything else to come through, and the idea of nostalgia was coming through, like the past coming up. I believe it is like a retrograde, Mercury retrograde when I'm recording this. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that can often depict a time of like past people, places, things coming up, nostalgia, like I said, blasts from the past, whether it's you or like people around you are like reminiscing, like there's just that energy that's really strong. You may be dreaming of past people. Past people may be like popping up on your Instagram or some sort of social media site, like recommendation type thing. It can come through in many different ways. I feel like I just kind of like rushed through that sentence and like made all the words one. So there could be this like also, again, that like surge of energy. Like maybe you've been resting a lot and all of a sudden you like wake up and you have like this new, it doesn't have to be literally when you wake up, by the way, like, but throughout the day or like the week, you may find yourself having these surges of vitality and excitement and refreshing, like a refreshing energy, refreshment. Some of you may be feeling called to enjoy refreshments in a way. Maybe you're going to an event where there's refreshments, or maybe you're feeling called to just like treat yourself to some refreshments. So back to the video I recorded. I'm still kind of figuring out what this is. I didn't release it yet. I'm thinking of releasing it on Patreon as like a mini series on, I kind of like was going back to like the idea of the archetype of the high priestess and how over different cultures and time periods it's been revered and also shut down and shadowed and all these different aspects to it, and expressed through different, you know, lenses, through whether it's culture, time periods, etc. And then my own connection to, you know, I identify lately as an oraculous style channel. That is the phrase that came through for me. People for a few years were asking, like, what do I do? And I like didn't know what to call it. And one day this phrase just came to me. So, not just came to me, that sounds a little, I researched a lot and I sat with myself, and that is what came through. So, there could be something like that happening. Like maybe there's been something you've been creating and or sitting with, and maybe like it hasn't had a name yet, or maybe there's just like a piece, it doesn't have to be the name, but there's like a piece of something that you are either discovering and or maybe plugging in to a larger picture that's going to be more digestible, which is kind of a little bit oxymoronic, I guess, but yeah, it's like there's a deepening with something, or like, yeah, discovering a piece of something that I feel like is going to be assisting with like a catapult energy. In terms of like if it's a project or a home, like maybe you have a home that you've been, this is just like an example, maybe some of you moved into a new home like lately, you know, or maybe some of you are like finally getting to the key to your new home, or you moved in but like maybe there was no stove, so you've been like eating a lot of meals that don't require a stove. Like there's some piece of something that is coming in that's going to make something feel more complete. Wow. And if you do have a new home, congratulations, or whatever it is. Yeah, congratulations just keeps coming through. And back to this, like, yeah, series that I'm thinking of putting together, it would be like oraculous or oracular. I'm pausing because kind of weaves in like some of the history, at least as far as we know, my own personal experience, and in like inviting you if you feel connected to the lineages in different ways. So like, for example, the first lineage that came through was like the Pythia from the ancient Greece, the Oracle of Delphi, and channeling the sun god of Apollo. And the next one I'm feeling like will probably be like the Celtic connection and the Druid lineage. Like, yeah, so anyway, this is just something that I'm toying with. So if anyone's interested, yeah, love to hear from you if you have anything to say about it. And then I'm tying it into some like larger themes that I've been noticing, and a framework that I've been sort of developing recently. Clear cartography and like clear mapping, and the connection of different frameworks, like for example Helena Blavatsky I've been feeling so strongly lately, and her connection to like co-founding the Theosophy Society, and like her, from what I understand, vision of Theosophy was, you know, she studied all these different religions. And she was such a rebel of her time, you know, like she, I don't know, I'll have to do a whole thing about her one day because I'm so fascinated by her. And there's a lot of, it's not always just the, so much release, the strong things that she's done, but also like, you know, there's a lot of controversy around her, and if her work was credible and if she was credible, you know, so that's something to take into account with a lot of this idea of the high priestess archetype. You know, there's a lot of, throughout time, the charlatans of the high priestess archetype as well, you know, like the shadow side. So, or if you want to call it the shadow side, or however you want to label it. So yeah, I want to like tap into this more, and it's just really fascinating to me. And how with Theosophy, the common thread, Theosophy was born because the common thread of all religions came to her as like, and not just her, but whoever else it was. There was another person that she co-founded with. I always forget his name. But anyway, so yeah, it was like studying these religions, and she was like, okay, there's a common thread that she realized, and that's how Theosophy was born. And then I'm very also fascinated by chelantic science, Asha Anna Dean's work and Lisa Renee's work, the synthesizing of the Ascension Glossary, and same thing. It's like this idea of the common thread of spiritual science and bringing that forth through chelantic science of, like these different spirit science ideologies throughout history, and like the idea of ascension mechanics, taking it to the next level through chelantic science. And again, is all of it credible? We don't know. That's why sometimes it's nerve-wracking for, to talk about these things, because there's a lot of a lot of belief that goes into this too, So anyway, so Claire cartography has kind of coming forth as this framework of the common thread of a lot of these different like soul mapping, and not just on an individual level, but also as a collective, like grids of reality, and how our structure of reality is functioning through bridging spirit science and understanding these like, if you want to call it, like sacred geometric codes of our structure of reality. Yeah, so if that is something that interests you, let me know, because I am having so much fun working on this. Yeah. Anyway, so that was just a little intro. As you can see, I'm still developing, but okay, I want to just switch gears a little bit and go back to that video I recorded, because even though I haven't released it yet, there still seems like these themes of, again, nostalgia, Kundalini, and a new cycle really anchoring in. And it's so funny because I didn't even realize today I am like leaving one location and going to another, and it all kind of like came to a culmination point as I haven't really sat with that until right like this moment when I went to record. So I'm also sipping a beverage, like I was talking about refreshments, so there may be a call, like I said before, it's coming up again, playing with different, like maybe new recipes or new ways of eating. It doesn't have to be food, but it could come through. Maybe you're feeling called to try like a new class, or visit a new location. There's just something about like switching something up, or multiple things. I just saw 13:33 on the timer. My app just like switched to TikTok, like I opened something. So TikTok there could be something about TikTok for some of you. I have an entire list that I've been keeping, so I'm going to check it. I already mentioned dreams and potentially dreaming of past people. But yeah, there could be something to take a note of in your dreams. As soon as I said that, I feel like the birds got really loud in the background. So you could be connecting deeper with birds and or really any animal. Animals have been coming up so much lately, especially black and white animals. And I think I talked about this the other day, but it still seems to be coming through. So the theme of duality, balance, polarity, integration, these themes could be really prevalent right now. Heart opening. 14:43 and 14:44 on the timer. Those just came in. Okay. there could be like a catalyst that it feels like you already experienced this catalyst, whether it was a relationship, a job, multiple things, but that seems like it's coming back around in some way. Again, whether it's just through thoughts and memories, reminiscing, whether the person's actually coming back, but there does feel like there's a catalyst point. For those of you who are tuned into astrology, you may like have seen in your chart, or maybe you're being called to, look through transits or just certain time periods to track that. That won't be for everyone, just if you feel called to that. Or maybe you just did that. I'm hearing synastry. Yeah, there's something about like a catalyst that is coming back up to be sort of acknowledged. Okay, so I'm being guided also to share this. When I was getting a lot of information about Helena Blavatsky, she's coming through so strongly. So I first connected to that energy, like, I want to say it was around like 2020. Yeah. And I had a vision of her, like I was meditating, and like her face, I like literally saw her face, but it was like very dramatic and almost like stormy. And I was like, oh my God, like, did I piss this person? It's hard to say person because, you know, she no longer is living in this reality. And yeah, so I had to really sit with it because I was like, ooh, this is really intense. Anyway, fast forward, now it's 5 years later-ish. And I was feeling so guided to talk about her and how she's like, her story has inspired me. And I kind of asked permission. I was like, okay, even though I feel it so strongly, like I want to make sure, you know, that that to carry on a part of her, you know, like, is that something that the spirit of her wants or whatever, you know, like I just like to check in. And so yesterday I was doing a bunch of research and I sat and like, you know, just gave myself a moment and I connected in. And it's just like things like this. So this may be happening for you, and or it may start in the future, like ways that I just recorded a transmission, like unique signs and synchronicities flow or something like that. So yeah, there could be like a deepening and or expansion of the way that you receive communication, information, knowings, things like this, like subtle realm communication, essentially. And so there's this deck, I think they call it the mandula. Okay, so someone here may be into doula, like being a doula or studying a doula, or just maybe you want to work with a doula or read about it. There's something about doulas that's coming through. Birth doula, death doula. There's also I'm sure there's other types of doulas that I'm not thinking of. When I said death doula, I heard Baphomet, which I believe is like a demonic archetype, Baphomet. And I also am seeing like a bat, the archetype of a bat. Now I'm being reminded of Batty from Ferngully. Oh my God, I love that movie when I was a kid. Yeah, a lot of the Fae energy has been coming through too. And in the next overflow from when I was recording the last one, the she came through, and I really wanted to talk about the she. Ooh, did you hear that? Like thunder. Literally, as I said the she, the thunder went in sync with that. I'm being guided to save that though for the overflow for some reason. And if you're not familiar with the she, Sidhe, I believe is one of the spellings, and I just got tingles on the crown of my head. Yeah, so very strong energy coming through there. Also, the word supernatural has been coming through like crazy. So you could be hearing that word, or there could be something significant about that word this week, or whenever you're finding this. Okay, so back to the Helena Blavatsky confirmation. Okay, so I think I talked about this in another transmission, but one of the days at the place I'm staying, I just felt guided to like open this random cabinet that I hadn't really looked in, and there was this oracle deck, the Mandala oracle deck, and it's basically like quotes, different quotes, but in the guidebook, instead of I did talk about this before. Instead of explaining the quotes, it actually talks about the mandala and different expressions of it and what they represent, etc. It's really cool. Anyway, it's a very used deck. Like it was just kind of like laying there The cards like weren't even contained. Like I had to like reorganize them. And so I felt called to just let this deck air out. So I just like let it sit and, you know, sat with it, whatever. Anyway, long story short, a few days passed, and then this was yesterday when I was tuning in to see if this connection with Hellllo Blavatsky was like a green light, you know? And so I asked, and then I just got this sudden urge to go pick up that deck. And I knew there was one quote from Hellllo Blavatsky in that deck, but just one of all the cards. And something told me just split the deck. I didn't even shuffle. I just opened the deck, and there was Hellllo Blavatsky right there. And I was just like, okay. And then I heard, okay, now shuffle. Like, put it back and shuffle. And I did. I put it back, I shuffled, and that one card came out, the same one, Hellllo Blavatsky. And I was like, all right, I feel pretty content. Plus, I've had other experiences too, you know. But there could be something about, like, yeah, like maybe you are really refining your discernment or refining the way that you and if it's not like spirit communication, it could be other things like within your life that you are just really like receiving green lights for something. And like if something really does not feel like a green light, it's like you feel it or you know it or you have things showing up for you. So it kind of feels like that idea of like bifurcation is coming through too, like that split of like things that really are no longer a match for you are just not sticking to you, you know, in certain ways. And then things that are, it's like in your face, in different ways. Okay. So, I've also been having a lot of high-pitched frequency ear tones. Some of you may be stronger on the left side. It doesn't have to be for everyone if you're experiencing that. 12:12. I remember one day I had this like really loud tone, and I looked at the clock and it was 12:12. So there also could be, I'm seeing one of the oracle decks. I can't remember. I think it's like the Romance Angels. And it's like one of the cards, a new romantic cycle begins. So for some of you, there's, a new romantic cycle. Whether you're single, in a relationship, it's complicated, whatever it is, it feels like there's a renewal in 7th house. So I'm getting mostly romantic, but if you're someone who's like, you know, asexual or doesn't really have romance, it's like some sort of companionship. So it could be like an animal, a roommate, a business partner. Like it doesn't have to be romantic, but it does feel like something that is as like a deep bond in some way, like a deepening of intimacy. And again, intimacy can be different for different people. So it doesn't have to be in like a traditional romantic sense. It just feels like, like intimacy. It could be with yourself as well. But I feel that very, very strongly. And if that's for you, I think you will know because you've been really feeling it. There's been a lot about, 777. It's like all these different areas of life. You may be like leaving a job or starting a new venture. There's something about like, I just heard venture capitalist. I don't know. Maybe someone here like, or just like a new venture. It doesn't have to be that. But yeah, there's something around this as well. Okay, interesting. So I was just reminded there was a hummingbird. There's a lot of hummingbirds where I'm staying. Butterflies and hummingbirds are like very abundant here. The woman who runs the residency where I am, I'm at an artist residency in Costa Rica. She like really tends to the land in such a beautiful way and has just like allowed for space for all these different creatures to come and thrive, you know? It's really beautiful to see. But one night I was with another volunteer or the other volunteer that I'm staying with, and she was like, oh my God, come look at the moon. Like the moon looks so beautiful tonight. So we went into the veranda to look at the moon. It was, I believe, crescent moon, and it was like very golden that night. So yeah, the crescent moon phase, and we realized it was actually her birthday, and we realized, I asked her if she knew what cycle she was born on, what moon cycle, and she said no, so we looked that up. So maybe some of you are feeling called to look up what lunar cycle you were born under, or if you already know, then there may be like a significance to that coming up. But there is something about a full cycle. So it was a Thursday, it was her birthday, and a crescent moon, and she was born on a Thursday under a crescent moon. So yeah, there's something about that coming through as like this alignment, cycle alignment. Some of you may be completing a Saturn return. That won't be for everyone. But there's something about this, this hummingbird. Okay, back to the hummingbird. So we go outside, and it was dark, and she was like, oh, let me turn the light on so we can see. Because, in the jungle when it's dark, it's like real dark. And this hummingbird, like it was nighttime, like I've never seen a hummingbird at nighttime. It must have been like in the lamp or something, because like the veranda lamp, because it just like started kind of freaking out a little bit and flying super fast, like back and forth, almost like kind of right over our heads. And it seemed a little panicked, and we were like, what is going on? And it was like the brightness of the light must have like blinded it or something, because it was like, it looked like it was stuck in the veranda, like it couldn't get out, even though the whole thing is open, but it was just flying back and forth. And she was like, I was kind of like joking, like steering it. I'm like, just keep going the other way, make a left, like stop going straight. And she was like, after like a minute or two of watching this, she's like, okay, let's turn the lights off. Maybe it needs the light off to like find its way. And sure enough, the light went off, and within like a second, because you could hear the hummingbird, like the little buzzing, it was gone. And she turned the light back on, and we didn't see it again. So very strange interaction with the hummingbird. And then like the next day or two, my mom called me, and she was like, oh my God, there's a hummingbird. She just got to California to visit my sister, and she was like, so it was like a lot of hummingbird sightings and interactions. So there may be I just got a tingle again on my crown. There may be a significance to hummingbirds right now, whether you're seeing it symbolically, or maybe it will start showing up for you as a sign of like integrating like more lightness. Hummingbirds are so fast, and their wings go so fast. So there's something about like something speeding up and lightness and joy, but there also is that. So as soon as this is not my favorite topic to broach, but if I'm feeling something, I really try to be honest and transparent with it. And when I saw this hummingbird get freaked out by this, artificial light, I kept hearing false light. And then of course, once it was back in the dark, it could be free. So there's some sort of like symbology there. I don't love, again, to imply that anyone or anything is false light, because, there's a lot of, like people are just trying to express themselves, like I get it. But there is something to it, because I know that I've had situations that I've had to, kind of just like this hummingbird, like go back into the dark, go within, go into that feminine womb space, and really sit with myself to see if something was trying to like blind you, like that artificial false light type of thing. We can also like define what that is in a way that maybe it's not always that people have bad intentions, or corporations, or whatever it is, that it's not always like that, but sometimes it just may not be what is best for you. Now, sometimes I do, as much as this pains me to say, I do think that there are some, there's some things out there that may be a little bit more deceiving purposely, whether that's in this realm or other realms that you connect with, or both. But this is meant to come from a place of empowerment and not fear, So the more we can understand and educate and trust ourselves, the more we can, see from a higher perspective that when that happens, it's always coming, at least from my experience, from a place of wounding, when we can have compassion for it, but also still acknowledge that this exists. And I think that's something personally that I've been navigating for a long time, of acknowledging it, but not getting lost in it or not pretending it doesn't exist. You know, there's been different phases of it. And again, that black and white symbology of like, there are gray areas too, you know, like not everything is so black and white. So at least again, from my perspective. So yeah, that did just want to come through. I'll probably go more into that on Patreon on the overflow, just to see what wants to come up. But I did want to acknowledge it because it was coming through very strongly. Yeah, again, with this idea of a Kundalini rising, there could be different, and this has been coming through for a bit now, releases or like things kind of as we cellularly expand, activate, upgrade, however you want to call it. You know, when we purge things out. I also know that there's some people who think that that is like a limiting belief, that we go through that because we think we need to. So if you're someone who identifies with that, I totally respect that. And I've sat with this too. And I'm still, I love to hear from people. And if you have these different perspectives, you know, like I really do believe that the more of us that can have these conversations in a way of expressing what we feel in our experiences, but also listening and being open, but that doesn't mean we have to agree, but we can agree to disagree in ways that are maybe a little bit more, like compassionate, you know? But anyway, so I do realize and recognize that there are different perspectives on this, and I welcome that in. But from the perspective that I currently feel, I still feel like there are these purges that can happen. And I continuously get the same analogy for this, like when you have a rag that you're cleaning something with, right, that's dirty, you eventually need to wring out that rag, and the dirt, you know, you can see it, like if you put it over in the water, that the water then becomes dirty, and then you empty that out, you know, so there's this cycle of like wringing out, not to imply that our past experiences and our miasma is dirty, like that's not the best, but what I'm saying is it's just something we don't need anymore. Like when you leave something, it can become stagnant like water, you know, and it gets like that filmy, it can get moldy. Like, so it's just this idea of like cleanliness that we do physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And actually the card from Hellllo that kept coming out was something like a mind left in reflection collects dust or something. So to me, that's like, if you just keep on one setting, like if you're always reflecting only, or if you're only doing, you know, one way of something, like, so that's what I was talking about, this like newness coming in. Anyway, so you may be going through bouts of like being really hungry or like craving things that maybe you deemed as bad for you, but like nostalgically you just like really want to experience that. And there's something about like being satiated with it. Like, okay, you let yourself have something that normally you don't, but it's like, oh, I really needed that, you know? And being discerning with that as well. Like, or, you know, if your body just really isn't hungry. And I also recognize that like people with, you know, issues with eating, like, please always, you know, you can always reach out to me too if you need to talk about it, but like use that as your own discernment. These are just energetic aspects that are coming through, and I just want to try and like honor everyone's sensitivities, of course. Some of you may be going through like intuitive eating, where you're letting yourself eat whatever you're craving and like sort of transmuting guilt around certain foods. Like I know I went through that phase for a long time, so if anyone's interested, I can go deeper with that, but that's just kind of peeking its head through. And in the video that I recorded, and I talked about the High Priestess archetype, the snake I talk about the how I had a vision of the snake, and actually last night I had a vision of a horse. So the year of the snake, the year of the horse. Also, symbolically, they can represent, of course, like spirit animal messages. If anyone wants to share, if they want to Google, I'm not being guided to Google, but please feel free to share. And the horse, like it was like first it came through as a horse, and I kept hearing the phrase wild stallion, but then it seemed to like evolve into a unicorn. So any of the symbolism could be coming up for you. Obviously, a third eye or pineal decalcification, the Anja center, can be, I'm seeing like ice melting and like all of these beautiful discoveries. So it's like you're internally, and for some of you externally, going through that sort of process. But the snake that I had this vision of turned out to be a Fer-de-lance. And I talk about in the video like how I came to this conclusion and that I realized after I was getting a lot of messages about Kundalini that this snake in particular, when I looked it up, actually can represent the Kundalini. It is one of the most like dangerous snakes in Costa Rica. So it's like venomous to humans. So yeah, again, there's something about, like I've definitely used this example before, like in Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan's character, Katie Heron. So yeah, birds again, isn't Heron a bird? When she like says like a snake, you have to like suck out all the poison to like move forward with a fresh start. So I feel like energetically that's been a really big theme. Yeah, so some things again, like it feels like the skin has been so highlighted. So you may be like releasing and purging through the skin. Again, allergies that may come through. Maybe like you're discovering allergies, but there's like this, again, sensitivities are being highlighted. My crown is tingling again. Whether it's rashes, heat rashes, bug bites, like whatever it is that's purging out through the skin, cysts, fibroids, like there's, like things inside that are trying to leave, I don't mean to laugh because I know this can be a very painful and uncomfortable process. So yeah, if anyone needs like extra support or anything, like I'm happy to do what I can to help. And know again that I also go through these processes too, and I know how uncomfortable it can be. Also, spiders have been so symbolically coming through. You know that phrase, like when someone gets caught in your web? I don't know why I'm seeing that. Transference. So if you, again, there's like that idea of the, what is it? The red thread of fate, red string, red thread of fate. You could feel like you have that sort of connection with someone, like a telepathic link. If you feel that, this won't be probably for everyone. It may be, I'm not sure. But if you feel that, it feels like there's some transference very heavily going on right now. So I noticed the other day, no matter what I did, I like just kept feeling this tension, especially in the jaw and my hands. Even in my sleep, like I was waking up like stressed, and I was like, what is happening? Like I was waking up a lot. I wasn't able to sleep through the night. And then I kept getting these messages of this person that I feel connected to, and it was like matching everything that I was experiencing. So yeah, I'm also seeing the shoulder blade, the mid back and lower back, like maybe like a knee and ankle. There's just like maybe these different transference. Like if you know someone who has like underlying stuff and you're like feeling that, there could be this transference going on, because it feels like whatever it is coming up for this person there's an opportunity being presented to them to like sort of, that expression, you got to feel it to heal it kind of thing. So it feels like that is being presented. And so you're like picking up on this. Yeah, I feel that so strongly. Yeah, like teeth and dental work, gums, like jaw, like that's really coming through strongly as well. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, and sending whatever your process is, but if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I kind of honestly just let it ride through and acknowledge it. And I just sort of like, maybe it's time, if you're not already, to do like a little ritual or whatever it is that helps you like just kind of neutralize the energy. I like to just like send love and kind of allow an aspect of my aura to be like a guiding light, but then call back anything that is still needing to be transmuted for the highest good of all, kind of thing. Whoa, something just went crazy outside. Did you hear that? I just heard like what's that expression, like when the floor drops out from under me? Yeah, so this person could be going through like a major, as we say in tarot, like a tower moment. Tower moments also can be great news too. So there could be this like, it almost feels like one of you is getting really good news and maybe one of the other ones is like kind of going through something that feels like the carpet just got ripped from under them. But take that how it fits for you. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, technology. There could be definitely some weird technological stuff going on that's been coming through for a few weeks. And it's so interesting, staying in the jungle this past almost 2 months. There's something about like honoring elements and the terrain upon which you are. So like, people that, and if you're not like experiencing this IRL, like in real life, maybe like reading a book or researching something about like what it's like to live in a desert climate, what the differences of living in different climates are coming through. And I know I used to watch videos like people that live in Alaska, and like when they have 6 months of daylight, like how do they, there's something about like getting perspectives on like different environments that's coming through really strongly. So like here, it's the jungle, but there's also like the sea nearby. So everything is so like, there's so much moisture in the air. And like, it's been honestly really great for my skin. But of course I've had like this little heat rash. But I feel like my skin has never felt so like, I don't know, like, is supple the word? I don't know. But then there's also like a lot of challenges, like certain types of jewelry or electronics, like because of all the moisture, like don't hold up as long. Things break so much more easily. My throat is like literally leaving right now. I wonder what that's about. Food goes stale so easily, like so easily. So yeah, there's like so many different factors to take into account of environmental surroundings. I don't know why my throat just went out right there, but there's definitely something coming through about that, and I'll see if it sort of unfolds. Some sort of like connection to I'm seeing like 12th house, Pisces, Cancer, Capricorn. There's something about these archetypal themes coming through of like something hidden that's coming forth. So whether it's like hidden emotions from you, from someone that you're connected to, or some sort of like something in the past that was like stifled, some sort of expression is like coming to the surface, is what it feels like. And sometimes when that happens, and I've talked about this before, there can be like a little bit, something maybe coming out a little bit sideways, or like when you've been holding back something for so long and then it finally comes out. So there's something about being patient with this process, because the first form of expression may be a little wonky, but like to give it space and time to like reshape itself. You may feel very connected to the angelic realms right now. Maybe seeing repeating fours, finding coins or feathers, different angelic symbology, floating feathers. I just got this very intense sensation in my, like, the sex organs, like the root. It almost is like a freezing sensation. Wow. This is like uber specific, but someone may have had, like, there's a procedure where you like freeze cells off of your body. I'm seeing that for someone. But there's like this cold sensation. Very interesting. Yeah, snake symbology is coming through. Again, like your skin may be flaking, your scalp, like there's something about like flaking skin. Moisture, the word moisture is coming through. Okay, so the other day, multiple things. If you have like you know how they say certain spider bites, you can tell it's a spider bite because there's two dots, like they use their fangs. There's something about that symbolism. Like you may be seeing like vampire symbolism or two dots next to each other, pimples, a spider bite. There's something about that. If you've been seeing that, there's something about the idea of a vampiric or parasitic aspect that is transmuting. If you want to know more about that, let me know and I'll go more into it. I just wanted to touch on that because I was feeling it, but I didn't want to dive too deep into it at the moment because there's so many other things coming through. Okay. I think I already talked about this, I'm not sure, but deja vu. I had deja vu like 5 times this week, and the theme that I kept feeling again is like this new cycle starting. It's like alignment, a new cycle. So like divine alignment. You may start feeling like, if not yet, I feel like it's really coming very soon, where you're feeling this like, just like, yeah, divine alignment is the best way I can describe it. And anything that I say, by the way, like feel free to use, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't feel that, that's okay. Like I always use these transmissions also as like, as a grounds for anchoring into this. So utilizing it as a way to cultivate this for yourself. And of course, that's up to you. Like if you take the inspired actions and follow through that come after that, but please always take that as an invitation if you feel called. Excuse me. Yeah, releasing. Okay. So yeah, deja vu. Okay, so I had this deja vu moment with this song that must have come on my YouTube. I like left, it was one of those moments, I'm actually not even sure what happened, but I don't know the song, but it was playing on my YouTube, New Edition. And one of the lyrics is like, if it isn't love, why do I feel this way? But I had this deja vu moment where I'd already heard the song, but I didn't even know. It was such a weird moment. So you may be having moments where you're like, wait, what reality am I in? You may be having like glitches where you're like, what's going on? Like you may be having these experiences in some way. But that song could have a message for some of you. Self-advocacy is also something that has been coming through very strongly the last few days. So you may be kind of coming into this phase of self-advocacy where in the past, if there were things you would just kind of let happen, or you would, that like idea of being passive aggressive where you would hold it in for so long and then it would like explode. I know that I've gone through that for a long time. I was like, it took me quite a bit of time to balance that out. So there feels like there's a balancing of self-advocacy where you can assert yourself in a way that is like kind and compassionate, yet also like firm, you know? But again, if you're just broaching this, it can be a little wonky. So just have patience with yourself. I'm hearing don't be afraid to like communicate this to you, like being vulnerable. It's not about over-explaining yourself either, but really like harmonizing that sort of self-advocacy expression, which is very beautiful, I think. But there was something that came through. Yes. Okay. So the other day, maybe like, let's say 5 days ago, I don't know if it was exactly 5 days ago, but around that, I had this moment where there's a studio where I'm staying, and these big like barn like doors stay open a lot. So I was like inside, but I was like, my feet were kind of outside, I was like looking outside, and the sky, the clouds, it was very cloudy, just seemed so still. There was just like this peace, this moment of just like peace and silence. It was as if I was like in a freeze frame, or like a painting or something. Like everything was just so still and so quiet. And I just had this like urge to just stand there and just like observe and just be, And it felt like I don't know, it was like this knowing, like, they say like that calm before the storm, but like this didn't feel like a storm necessarily that was going to be like detrimental. This felt like almost like I'm getting the image of Dorothy in Wizard of Oz when she like finally is like, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, and she like, I don't know, I don't know if it actually happened this way, but I picture like the tornado kind of like bringing her back to where she knows that she's meant to be, kind of thing. It's like that kind of energy. And I was feeling that so strongly, and then I forgot about that, and I just saw it on my list, and today it's like, yeah, it's like that's what this new cycle feels like, like you're finding home. And like we may have many moments like that over time, and this feels like, again, it may be literal for some of you, like moving, but it feels like a home frequency, like knowing yourself, that phrase, like know thyself, like you're knowing yourself in a way that you can feel at home no matter where you go. And if you're not there yet, it feels like that is this theme that's coming up, which is so beautiful, because I know a lot of us, especially that feel maybe a little bit more, if you want to use the word sensitive, maybe like we don't belong in some way. That's like, to me anyway, like something that I didn't know was possible at one point in my life. And now that I've been experiencing that, I just heard a chair move. Someone's moving things around out the door that I'm recording from. So yeah, there's like this like shake up, this movement. But it feels like this feeling of stillness or peace is really going to overtake you in some way. Like maybe days before this feeling of home or this like shake up or new cycle. So for some of you, it may have already happened, or for some of you, that's like a sign for you that it's coming. And this is not something that you can just like find, it just kind of finds you kind of thing is what it feels like. It's like that moment when if you like lose something, and the moment you stop looking for it, and then like it just appears, like that kind of energy is coming through. There were these beings, the Peri, P-E-R-I, and I talked about them in another transmission. I'm not going to go into it now, but if you have heard that, or that's been coming up for you, like that's just something that wanted to be acknowledged. Wow. I feel like I've been just like, how do I say this? Like my left hand is tingling. Yeah, like this transmission was like so, like I could feel it, like I said, when I first opened the recording, like it was like that champagne like waiting to pop open, like I could feel it building. And I wanted to like record or post the other recording that I did the other day about the High Priestess archetype before I recorded again, but like I could not wait. Like that's what it felt like. Like I just had to, inspiration was striking, and I had to answer the call. So again, that may be coming through for some of you as well. Maybe doing things a little bit out of the order than you initially anticipated. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to now take it to the overflow on Patreon. Thank you so much. Oh, and I wanted to say I just got a notification on YouTube that I had my first 100 hours, like meaning that yeah, there's been 100 hours of playtime for my channel. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of you, or whoever. I don't really know, I'm still technically such a baby channel, but I don't know. I've just really, really enjoyed this, and I'm still enjoying it so much. So anyone who's been participating, I just really, really, really want to say thank you. And I'm trying to like figure out a way to like, give back more in that way. So if anyone has any like ideas or something that you'd be excited about, I'd love to hear from you. But just want to say thank you so much. Okay.